Hello and welcome to Tangerine. This is a brand new game. It's called Palworld. No one's heard of it. It's a new one. Surely nobody has heard of this game. This is pre-quick game button, Tony, as you can see from the footage.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
forgot about that feature.
so it's
Yes.
been it's been a long time since we recorded Tangerines, and
Yep.
so before this game even came out, I saw Pokemon with guns. I think it was at Summer
Yeah.
Jeff Fest. I was like, this game looks fucking hilarious, and it's going to be on Games Pass. I have Games Pass. Let me just launch it as a meme. I'm probably going to play this for 5 minutes, and then I
Yeah.
will
We
close
thought
it
it'd be
because
bad.
I will shoot a couple of Pokemon with a gun,
Yeah.
and then I'll close it, and it'll be a funny meme. I did not
Yeah.
expect this to become the biggest game in the world immediately
No,
after it launched.
it was crazy how much it sold. With yes, there's like the there's the Jeff Fest trailer. There's like a second trailer that came out later, but
Yeah.
pretty much no one saw that trailer as far as I'm aware. Like no one was talking about it. So
So there is pre-body
yeah,
types
it's word of mouth
for
basically.
creating your character.
There
But
are
I was
types.
talking about, I was like, I don't care for character
Character
creators.
creation.
I'd rather
Yeah.
just play
Yeah.
as somebody else's character. So I just usually just
Yeah.
randomize. I spam the randomize button. I'm like, that looks stupid. Let's go with that. But yeah,
Can I
basically,
just say, there's a lot of
well,
people playing green characters I've seen like in my YouTube watches of this game. Find very interesting.
we need more green
Shrek enjoys out
characters.
there.
Yeah. So I loaded up this game and I was like, wait a minute, this isn't just running around shooting Pokemons with guns. It's more like a well-crafted survival crafting game. I think it came into question like the inspirations for this game because a lot of people immediately were like, well, on the surface it's very Pokemon, but it's
Sure.
immediately as you get into the game with like the UI and the opening of the game, you're like, oh, this is very much inspired by Breath of the Wild with like the gliding and the tablets and the towers and the musical cues and everything like that. And then people were like, well, the actual meat and bones gameplay is very much like Ark Survival Evolved, which is like a survival crafting game with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Um,
There's something about it's with Pokemon like creatures that definitely seems more appealing to me.
but yeah, I've got multiple different bits of gameplay footage. This is like literally the first time I launched the game on the launch day. I'll just open my Games Pass thing to see how many hours I have in the game because it tells you there. So I've played it for 35 hours. So I've played quite a bit of Palworld.
Bit more
I
than
didn't
a couple of minutes.
I didn't quote unquote complete Palworlds in that sense, but I also don't think you really can complete it. Like there's a weird Elite Four like tower system thing, but I think the game is very clearly unfinished / unpolished in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. And
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
rather I got my fun
Early
out of it
access.
for what I was doing, and I might go back if they add like more content.
Yeah,
Like
because you're
as I
like going
said,
through the tree and enjoying the stuff that you're finding there and like experimenting with it, right?
well, my number one goal was like I'm gonna get a gun and I'm gonna shoot a Pokemon. That's
Yeah.
fine. That's
Yeah.
that's the goal I had coming into the game. Like I feel like I almost got bait and switched. I was like, okay, I'm gonna launch the game. I'm gonna get a gun, and then it was like, no, you need to get to like level 40 before you get a gun. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
well now I've got to get to level 40 or something so I can get this gun. And leveling through the system, I was like, wait, this is like. It's almost like it's almost like satisfactory in a lot of ways. It's like a factory management, like and like managing your peons and stuff, like a management game sort of thing. Like I'll skip ahead. So you have these towers.
I guess like a colony sim is like kind of like.
Yes, this is the tech tree.
Automated.
Which you use to upgrade. So every time you level up the best way to level up is by catching pals, and catching 10 of the same pals will give you bonus XP. So if you spam capture the same Pokemon over and over again, it's the best way to get XP. I don't know if, that's necessarily the best thing, but that's how they do it.
It worked for you, as you were saying.
You can also kill pals with weapons. Like you'll probably see me in a minute getting a stick and running around beating up sheep or cats. You can also kill humans in this game. Another thing, so I should explain. There's pal spheres. I mean, as if you don't know what Palworld is. Imagine you've never
Just in
seen.
case you don't know.
Imagine you've never seen the game Palworld or the video game / anime Pokemon, and you do not understand how this works.
If you're an alien watching this and you just received this broadcast from Earth,
greetings, Zanu.
hello.
Welcome.
Yes,
so you
Palworld.
grab these pal spheres, which are like legally different from Pokeballs, and you basically throw them at the pals, which are legally different from Pokemon.
Are they cooler because you actually get to see like an animation in world instead of like some, I don't know, like pre-rendered?
Well, there's two reasons this game got really popular, right? Is that it's a super well balanced survival crafting game, and then on top of that,
with a really interesting theme.
It's Pokemon fans have been pissed off that there is no open world monster hunting game that you can go around capturing monsters, and this game lets you do that.
The powers in the game properly,
Like the Pokemon company's kind of been sitting on their asses when it comes to the game. Like they've been
100%.
They in the past they were releasing basically very similar games with like resting on their laurels, kind of re-releasing the same game with slight tweaks. But now they've gone as far as releasing games that are just completely broken in terms of how like
and they're still doing the whole
and stuff.
Releasing 2 games but with slightly different Pokemon. Which I didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, as a kid, I didn't realize it was a scam. But now I think about it, it's like, that's a complete scam.
But yeah, this came out of nowhere. Because this is like a Japanese development team that just They previously worked on a game called Craftopia, which is another crafting game.
Where you can kill cows.
They really didn't have like I think the budget was no more than like $1 million or $2 million or something, which seems like a lot, but for like a small studio is like not a lot of money in terms of like making an open world game.
I will say even for a small company that's not a lot. Like for like an individual that's a lot of money, but not for companies that's not very much at all.
But yeah, basically I don't know if you heard some of the stuff about the development team of this game, but they were basically like their previous game was made in Unity, and they were like, let's make it in Unity, but then they hired a modder who made some mods for their previous game, and he was like, oh, I don't know how to use Unity, I work in Unreal. So they were like, oh, we'll just move the entire project to Unreal Engine 5. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I guess it was.
Some pretty crazy stuff they did.
They're basically just like hiring people from the community, like people they knew were good, and it's like, oh, we'll change stuff that we trust these people will change stuff based on their recommendations.
But yeah, so you collect these pals, and then you basically build a base where you collect like wood, stone, and minerals, and then you basically it's like your standard like Minecraft survival sort of game where it's like, okay, I'm gonna make a furnace, and I'm gonna basically let's skip ahead. I'm gonna make a furnace, and then I'm gonna smelt ores and stuff like that, but you also have this added thing on top where you can get your pals to work for you. And that made me immediately turn into an evil overlord, where
you meant capitalistic factory owner.
Well, you eventually get a couple of base. You can get more bases as you level up. So you level up your base by building certain things around it, and then once you've leveled up your base, you can have more pals working for you, and eventually you can have more than one base. So I built a factory in the desert. So I was like, I'm just going to build a giant open area. And I had these giant factory things going off. And every time one of the pals got sick, I was like, it's really like expensive and long to craft medicine. So whenever the pals get sick, I just like replace them with new pals.
Right.
I was like, there's no such thing as a sick pal, only a new pal, a new business opportunity.
You retired. You retired. They got retired.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
But yeah, it was strange because this launched, and then because I was playing on the Games Pass version. There was you can pet the pals in Palworld, by the way.
Pet the pal.
You can also murder the pals in Palworld. You can butcher them to death, and you can also capture humans and force them to work for you. There is slavery in Palworld, just in case you didn't know.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But I can't even remember what I was saying now. What was I saying?
Something about factory owner. Or...
I was a factory owner. I was building a base. It'll come back to me. So yeah, the building is pretty standard. You cannot have items colliding with each other. Some of the building restrictions were quite annoying. Like I tried to build like this scenic base next to a waterfall, and it was like, nope, you can't build here. You can't build here for like seemingly arbitrary reasons. So I was like,
so you'd rather like ease up on like the realism.
Yeah, I would let you just have more collision stuff. Just let me collide with stuff.
100%.
Yeah. And the way the inventory works, you have a weight system, and when you level up, you can choose a stat point. So your main stats are like, you can have more health, you can have more attack, you can have more carrying capacity, or stamina.
You got work speed as well, don't you? Like how quickly you work.
So I think early game, the stuff you want to level up the quickest is probably just carry capacity, so you can just gather resources for your base.
Like stamina and carrying capacity, right?
Yeah. Early game, there wasn't much building. It was mostly just you build a base out of wood and then eventually you get more materials. I don't think you would like how much... There is some like random customization stuff, but it's like later down the tree sort of thing.
Yeah, I did see like you had to kind of like wait to unlock that sort of stuff. But I guess that's
and also some of the stuff you have to find in the world, and then that unlocks recipes, or you'll need to find certain pals to unlock certain things. So one of the things you can do is you can actually... unlock partner abilities for pals through these things like saddles or like the flamethrower fox. So like for example,
that's like okay. I didn't realize. I thought it was just like a gun. Okay.
So here's a dungeon later in the game. So it'd show you some of the more like mid-game areas of the game. So these random dungeons you can go to, which will have like a powerful pal at the end, which you can kill or capture. You can capture everything in this game. So if you capture a boss pal, it'll be harder to catch, but it will be stronger and generally bigger than normal pals. And then these are the Syndicate, basically like the Team Rocket of the world, I guess. They like to capture pals.
Yeah, that's not really a real world equivalent. So yeah, Team Rocket.
Well, I didn't really. It's because I was like, a wandering trader came along and he was like, yeah, I'm going to... trade with you. I was like, why don't I just kill you? So I killed him, and then it was like, oh, I looted him stuff. But apparently there's also a crime system in this game. So if you do kill humans and other humans witness it, then they will send officers after you to try and kill you. This has like a raid system similar to a game like Valheim, where every so often your base will be raided by a bunch of pals, or there's even like the there's the Greenpeace equivalent, or like the RSPCA equivalent, where the anti-pal people will come and like raid your base and be like, you're being inhumane to pals, we're going to raid you. And it's like, well, come on. And you pull out your Gatling gun and you take them out, you know.
I do quite like the Valheim system of like being raided. I think it does make it more interesting, as opposed to like just like...
I think one of the really cool things about this game that I found was every single option in the game can be edited on the fly through the server settings. So even though you're playing in a single player game, you can basically say, hey, I don't like the raid system, I'm going to turn it off. Or you're going, like for me, when I got to like level 30 or 40 or something, I was like, man, it's kind of grindy to get XP. I just turned the XP up. I was like, I don't want to keep grinding, so I'm just going to get the XP rates higher. Because I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm like... my choices were keep playing the game with the XP as it was, and I was like, well, I'm going to quit because it's grindy, or just turn the XP up and keep playing for a bit more, and that's what I did. Yeah. So
hopefully they balance that later, but yeah, it's good that like, you can customize it so much detail though. Like I think a lot of games should. Especially
you can turn up. I think I turned up capture rate as well, slightly stamina, but yeah. So. Here you can see I have this Deer, which is one of the earliest... There's a boar you can get, but it's quite slow, but it's like one of the earliest mounts you can get. That's quite good. So you can actually mount some of the Pokemon like a ground mount. There's water mounts, like a Lapras, for example, which obviously I'm talking about the Pokemon. And there's even flying mounts you can get as well. So you unlock this through the tech tree once you have that PAL, and then you can get a saddle for them to ride them. And each one will have their own different abilities as well. So the Ecthodeer you can use it in combat as well to ride, but there's also like a llama you can capture that's like a giant llama that will just bounce up and down and do like heavy AoE damage, which I'll show you later. But then there's also like combat abilities where, for example,
that ghost thing behind you is one of the first with combat stuff, right? That you had out.
So that one's unique because basically his saddle ability is even when you don't have him equipped, he will attack people for you. So it's basically like you can use him as another combat pet permanently through his upgrade ability. So that's quite useful for killing stuff. And then I'll use like Ecthodeer I just generally use because it's a ground mount. And then there's also a leveling up system where you can level up your pals with these chipmunk statues you find around, and then that gives them like more health, more work speed, more attack, more defense, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I put a lot of points into keeping my ground mount alive so I wouldn't be, caught in a shit place when I died, basically. Or if my Ecthodeer I don't want my Ecthodeer to die, right, because he's one of my only mounts I had at this point. Obviously I had a lot, like I had like a Zapdos guy as like a flying mount later. Like I got a bunch more mounts.
But early on is that you had like one good one.
But yeah, there's also the elemental system. So when you fight against other pals, they have weaknesses. So very similar to something like Pokemon, where fire Pokemon are weak to water attacks. So you want to try and have a roster of Pokemon on you that has different, like the Ecthodeer here is Earth. So that's very good against the first boss because the first boss is an electric type, and electric types are weak to Earth. Or I have like a Chillet, which has water, is a dragon. So it's like dragon attacks, and then it also has like ice and water attacks. And then I have like a Firefox thing. If I some of them I just forget the names of them, but I know most of the names. Or I'll just call them the Pokemon equivalent because I'm like, it's essentially the same thing. One of the things I found with dungeons was you got good XP from doing them, but they were super like copy pasted, and I got lost a lot. In terms of not like
generated, is it just like a set?
I don't know,
really basic?
But maybe it's just me, or maybe they've updated this since I played. But whenever I went to dungeons, I would always get lost. I'm like, this area looks exactly the same as the other area I was just in. I have no idea where I'm going, which I found kind of annoying. Like that's some of the weaknesses I think of Palworld are like. I think it's a really good game, and I played a lot of it. Like obviously, I really enjoyed it, but I think like. It feels like it could do with a lot of polish in a lot of ways. Yeah. And obviously it's like a new
especially in the world
indie studio. So we'll have to wait and see like what Palworld looks like in like a year's time or something. But I was super impressed with this game immediately. Like I was like
the actual Pokemon, the powers, I do really like their abilities and like how it works in the real world. Like, it's exactly what I'd want from a Pokemon game. So I'm very impressed with what they've done here.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely awesome. Like, I think the combat's super engaging. The building is good. It's not perfect, but it's good. And then the catch them all. It's like, oh, I need to capture 10 more of these, or I haven't captured this pal before. I need to go and capture this pal. Like, I can see why so many people are like, I need to keep playing this and capture all the pals and stuff. And I think
because I feel like if I was playing this, I would want to try and like make a self-sufficient factory where they actually try and actually treat the sick, the injured and depressed.
It's too hard.
But I find it interesting that that's kind of like how I play Minecraft, like trying to have like self-sufficient things, like trying to think about integrated systems that work.
I think medicine's way more important if you invest stuff into your pals because you can get pals that work for you, and then you could make this guy. So each power is a different level of each task. So you may find, because I was just replacing level 1 miners with level 1 miners, right? So these guys are really good at digging up rocks. And then I was like, well, this guy is like a whale guy. He's actually he's like a level 2 miner. So if I replaced him, I would either have to replace him with someone who's better, the same, or who'd actually be worse at his job. And you eventually get to a point where if you invest like work speed and stuff into some of these pals, it's like, well, I can replace him with another like low-level pal, but he's not going to be as efficient as the other pal. So you do actually want to heal like your really strong pals for combat or for work. And then there's also an entire like breeding section of pals where you basically go, oh, this pal has really strong traits, I'm going to breed it with this pal, and you eventually like breed the perfect pals, and that's where medicine would come in like really clutch to be like, I have these really powerful pals that I can't just like. I was playing very like fast and loose, like I'm just gonna, other than like my mounts and stuff, I was very much just like, okay, these pals are very replaceable to me. But you can get to, like, I didn't do much of the breeding stuff. That's not the sort of stuff that really interests me. But you can get to a point where you have like a really strong roster that's not as easily replaceable as my roster was. Which I think is cool. Like, I think this game has so much hidden depth to it. It's nuts. Like, you look at it on the surface and you're like, well, this is a very simple game. But then you start to get into it and you're like, well, then there's medicine and breeding and there's the survival crafting, because pals are combat pals, but they're also worker pals and you can split them up. And it's like each pal, I think they did a really good job with animations where it was like, well, how do I power a furnace? You can't power it yourself. You need a fire pal to go blow fire onto the furnace in order to get to work. Where it's like, oh, I've built a factory now. How do I power the factory? You need an electric Pokemon to go and zap the electric coil so the conveyor belt works and you can craft stuff.
The solution's kind of organic. It's like, oh, I saw this power before, so I'm going to try and get that. That might be what I need to keep my keep my factory going. Like, I thought, that's really cool. And I actually make a good use. And like, I know this is kind of like a Pokemon thing, but I feel like this is kind of what survival crafting's kind of been missing. Like, it gives you a reason to go out and find specific things. Beautiful. It looks like a ranch.
It's called Ram Ranch, yeah.
Ram Ranch.
So you can see like the fire Pokemon are blowing on the furnaces here.
Yeah.
And you'll have like you can have like a fridge, and the little penguin ice Pokemon I got, he'll blow on that and it'll keep food cool so it doesn't spoil as quickly. And
so you were saying as well as like you put stuff in one chest, you can access it anywhere in your base, right? Like,
yes, I love that feature. I wish it was in every survival crafting game ever made, because I hate inventory sorting.
Yeah. 100%. I think if you got a base, like if a system like that, you should definitely have that. But I think just in general, though, like I feel like this game is like very easy to set up bases and set up.
It only applies to that one base though. So if you have like another base, you can't access the inventory across them. So you'll have to teleport across. So basically, the way the world works is there's these fast travel points around the world, and then once you've unlocked them, you permanently unlock them. Once you go to them once and activate them.
Like waystone things.
Yeah.
Right?
But so that's how you unlock more of the world. So if you like exploring, so there's combat if you like combat. There's crafting if you like crafting. So you can do the base, you can do the management, you can do the pals and the breeding. But also, if you want like an open world game where you're exploring, you can just like run around, mount up around the world, fly around, like, and just explore, and you will find new skill trees which give your pals new abilities, waypoints to help you fastly travel around the world, and then also there's these chipmunk statues all around the world which will let you actually level up your pals to make them a lot stronger in terms of their stats. I mean, pals level up by being in your party, so I like the XP link system. So it's not just in the early Pokemon games, it's like your first Pokemon got all the XP because they were the one equipped. So you would have to do janky stuff like
the whole switch over.
Yeah, you'd have a powerful Pokemon, you'd get him to almost kill another Pokemon, and then you switch him out at the last second to the weak one. And then in the later games, they streamlined it where it's like, well, if they're in their party, they get an XP share of all the first XP of the first Pokemon, right? So it's like that in Palworld, which I think they've
a good system.
Yeah, they've done a lot of refinement here, and I think it's really good. But yeah, there's some like I did eventually build like a big base with in the desert with like a giant factory. I'll just skip to the next clip because I think I have me fighting a boss. Here we go. So I've got a gun at this point. One of the first guns you get, which is like an ancient rifle. I got my goal. I got like a pistol and an assault rifle, and I was like, right, that's it. I've achieved my goal. I'm ready to. I'm ready to. Yeah, go ham. I like how everything kind of pushes you to try everything though, because like exploration rewards you with. Fast travel points and leveling your pals, and then doing the survival crafting is beneficial for combat and exploration because it helps you get around quicker, but it also helps you become stronger by giving you like guns and armor and stuff. But then also, exploring gets you find these boss fights and you go, okay, and you go into them, and then when you kill the boss, you can get XP, or you can capture the creature and get a really powerful POW. Like, the game is, I feel like it's accidentally well designed, is how I want to describe Palworld. Like, it feels like if I was going to describe it, I would call it lightning in a bottle. Like, it's like...
Yeah. Is it accidental, or are they just passionate about each individual system and then combined well after testing?
I feel like it's like the perfect storm. Like, it's like...
It's a mix of mechanics you don't think works.
None of it separately should work, but somehow together it does.
Yeah. 100%. I think I'm gonna say as well as like this game seems to do like a good job, like maybe not perfect, but a really good job of like not having to go to a wiki to figure stuff out. Like you're just doing it in the game.
For the most part,
something like Minecraft is terrible for that.
It's explained to you, and I was just like, yeah, I know what to do. I know where to go. So the reason you want to kill bosses is bosses give you ancient technology points, and then that's how you unlock some of the rare stuff. So levels give you tech points, and then ancient technology points are what you get from killing the bosses. So you're always incentivized to go out into the world and explore and kill stuff and get resources. And the game, it's just a well-made survival crafting game in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
And I think the surface level stuff is, it's Pokemon with guns, but it's actually quite a entertaining survival crafting game.
I've seen some nice looking bases out there as well, and some like factory stuff if you're into like satisfactory sort of stuff. There's like a lot of depth in the base stuff alone. So it's.
I was trying to find. Oh, it's me fighting the giant llama.
I don't want to touch on this too much, but I just want to say, like, I know there's like the whole they're stolen from like the plagiarized Pokemon sort of thing. It's like. Even the ones like we kind of meme and say like they kind of look at this, I'm gonna be honest, they're not exactly the same. They're kind of
and people have pointed out that I think it was Dragon Quest came out before Pokemon and had some designs that were very similar to Pokemon, but it's like, of course, because they're based on
the idea of cartoon creatures.
Yeah, there's. Pokemon doesn't own the rights to animals, the likeness of animals.
No. And I think as well, like, even if you want to say that they kind of copied them, it's like, I think they've done a lot more to the animations and, like, how they do stuff in the world, like, way more than any actual Pokemon game. I feel like they've just put a lot more thought into it and how it, like, combines with stuff. It's just a lot more interesting.
But yeah, I really enjoyed this game. I played it for like, weeks after it came out, and... I pretty much got to a point where I was like, I've got a gun, I've killed a bunch of bosses. I haven't defeated the Elite Four, but I was like, I could keep grinding the game and turning the XP up, but I was like, there isn't really an ending to this game, I don't think, at the moment. It seems like obviously it's launched into early access. Yeah. And it's or game preview as they call it on Games Pass. And I'm like, you know what, I can just wait for it to be more of a polished thing, and maybe I'll come and revisit it at some point, or I'll play it multiplayer, because the way multiplayer setup is... multiplayer. I did join a friend and test it out. So there's no crossplay between the Steam version, because me and my friend were playing it on the Games Pass version. Another friend wanted to play with us, and he got it on Steam, and I was like, I tried to join him, and I couldn't join him on the Steam version, and he couldn't join me on the Games Pass version. And they are actually separate versions of the game, which is how I learned that apparently it's quite hard to upload updates for games on Games Pass, because with Steam, you can
Steam's
just
a lot easier.
you own the game. It's like you can just upload an update at any point.
Yeah, the devs have their control of their site, of their little page, I suppose you could see it.
But with Games Pass, if you want to upload an update, you have to go through Microsoft's certification board basically to be like, okay, yeah, this works on PC, this works on the consoles, this is ready to be shipped. So the Games Pass version was very different from the Steam version. Like, I don't know if it's I had no access to DLSS, whereas the Steam version did.
Right.
The game didn't launch with a quick game button, which I found hilarious. That was a great feature.
Yeah,
because I had several friends who launched it up, and they came up to me and I was playing it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, how do you close the game?" And I'm like, "That's the feature of the Games Pass version. The game won't let you stop playing. There is no quick game button." I was like, "You have to Alt F4 to get out." Yeah.
That's so funny.
I can confirm it was updated to add a quick game button though, so that's good.
I just want to. I don't know if we're closing out here or not. I just said, like, apparently that so far confirmed 25 million units sold across all platforms.
Jesus Christ, this game has sold a lot, isn't it?
But I also want to mention as well, like you sent me like a link to like, what they said is like people say, oh, when's the next update coming out? We want to play more of it, and I just like the guy's response. It's like the CEO, right, had this response. It was just like
basically
play a different game.
Yeah, they were saying, I want it's taking a while for the update to come out. What are we supposed to do? We're waiting for the update, and he says, well, just play another game. You don't have to be constantly playing Palworld. Like if you want to wait for the next update, just go and play something else. Which I think is like a very like based thing to say, you know, just like just play something. That's exactly what people do. That's what I'm doing. I'm like. I'm like, I want to wait for the next update. I'm just going to go off and play something else, and then I'll come back to Palworld.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more of a better way to look at games than just like keep trying to play this one game. A lot healthier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really appreciate that. It's nice to hear that from someone saying. I think it was Asmodee, like, same people do exist.
Yeah. Well, it's like every other big game is so terrified if people stop playing it, they're just going to never play it again. It's like every MMO, like World of Warcraft, for example, is like if you stop playing this game, you're like you're never coming back. So everything in that game is designed around like player retention. It's like no, you have to log in daily to do this, and you have to be here at this time to do this. And it's like I don't know. Palworld kind of respects your time.
They have to, but I think statistically, it's like surely people come back for updates, and surely that's what people do. Like, I don't know, big updates draw people back.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I think respecting your time. I feel respected in multiple ways with this game. Like it just kind of like it's a stupid idea, but we put our effort into making every mechanic work reasonably well.
But yeah, I'm sure by this point you've seen 5,000 Palworld videos.
Yes.
I just wanted to let the world know that I played this the day it came out, and I've been sitting on this footage ever since. And I've played a lot of it, and I really enjoy it. I think it's crazy that we're in 2024. We just entered the third month. Like literally, this came out in January, right? Like we're a couple of months into the year, and I already have like 3 or 4 titles. I'm like, these could be the game of the year already that I've played in 2024.
It's kind of insane.
But yeah, hopefully I'll get to talk about more of those, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.